Hello and welcome back. I'm Mayor Binks and we're recommencing this meeting at 8:21, a little bit later than intended. Unfortunately, modern technology is not on our side tonight and we lost our live stream in that break despite keeping our stream running. So sincere apologies to any community who have been waiting for us to come back in online. We obviously cannot proceed until we are live streaming. So we do apologise and I thank you for your patience. We're now going to move to page 77 of the agenda, and it is item 9.3.2, tender for contract number 2223-101, Weir Road and Reedy Lake Upgrade, Nagambie. Director Adamak, may we have a summary of this report, please? You're on mute, Director.
Thank you, Mayor Binks, for that. As a part of the Strathbogie Shire Council approved budget for financial year 22-23, Council's planning to upgrade Weir Road and Reedy Lake Road in Nagambie. Through public advertisement in local and state newspapers and Council online tender portal, Council invited tenders for the works under the contract. At tender closing on the 27th of July 2022, 6 tenderers were submissions and received. All submissions are deemed to be conforming. These tenderers were assessed and evaluated by the evaluation panel and made of council officers, and there is a recommendation down the bottom of the page for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Adamek. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the officer for this item? No? Okay, councillors. Oh, sorry, Councillor Andrews, yes?
Right. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Director Adamek. This will then, I couldn't see it from the map, but this will then complete the loop of asphalt or bitumen, whatever you want to call it, from Nagambie out to Kerwin's Bridge and around through Reedy Road back to that Rushworth Road where there's tar again. Is that correct?
Look, I need to take that on notice because I believe so. However, I'm not sure of the infrastructure that's there existing already. But I believe so.
I think it does complete the loop. I just wanted to confirm that. Also one further. Normally in these presentations, I may have missed it, we get the percentages allocated for the various criteria. Was that in the report or did?
Yes, I believe it's in.
I'll look harder. Thank you.
There it is. There. It's on page 81. The weighting and the evaluation criteria.
Okay, and that was assessed and added up and given to each of the contractors.
Yep. And to Councillor Andrews, there were also confidential attachments associated with this one that you would have received as well, which had more detail, is a confidential attachment. So, are there any further questions of clarification? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Andrews?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move that the recommendation on page 77 of the agenda be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Rayburn, thank you. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Andrews?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just think it's great this has come online now. It's a very important link back to town, alternative route other than Kerwin's Bridge, which can have its issues at times. So it certainly gives the residents out there and other visitors a route back into town, which is safer and more expedient at some points. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. This is great for the community out at that side of Ngambie. We had a meeting with the community back there 18 months ago in reference to Kerwin's Bridge, and it was a commitment by Council, and Councillor Reg Dickinson has been part of this all on the way, keeping the community out at Kerwin's Bridge under wraps to ensure that any discussion on the upgrade of the Kerwin's Bridge is part of this discussion with Weir Road and Reedy Lake Road. And so that was a commitment by Council to ensure that there was going to be bitumen or asphalted road to their access at all times.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak for or against the motion? No? Sorry, you froze on me then. I think that was a no. Councillors, can I have I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour for the motion, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 85 of the agenda. Item 9.3.3, tender contract number 2021-14, Strathbogie Recreation Reserve Pavilion Upgrade, Stage 1. Director Adamek, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Council again has undertaken competitive process for Strathbogie Recreation Reserve Pavilion Upgrade, Stage 1 works. The public tender process for the Strathbogie Recreation Reserve Pavilion Upgrade Stage 1 has been undertaken to meet Council's compliance requirements. Also, there was a public advertisement in local and national newspapers. Council invited tenders for the work under contract 2122-14. Initially advertised between 19th of May and 9th of June 22. A close of tender 9th of June, there was no responses. A close of re-advertised tender July, there were 2 tenderers, and there's a recommendation in the bottom of that page for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Adamek. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer regarding this item? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hourigan.
Thank you, Mayor Bix. I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the recommendation that is on page 85 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Hourigan. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Hourigan?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Just that this is a project I know that the Strathbogie community are very excited about, and I have had a few phone calls about this particular upgrade, but not just for their community, but for the Shire as well. So very excited to see that a tenderer has been approved.
Thank you, Councillor Hourigan. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to that item?
Yes, I'd just like to endorse what Councillor Hourigan has said. This has been going on since 2016, the upgrade of the Strathbogie Rec Reserve building. There's been a lot of heartache, a lot of bloodletting, a lot of miscommunication. But at the end of the day, we've got to the point where a tender is now being formally set to happen tonight. And I look forward to the new building being built up there so they can enjoy their pizzas and have a good time away from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No? Okay, councillors, I shall put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. I too would just like to say it's really exciting to see this project be tendered and to go and to be in and to have a tender approved for it, and really look forward to seeing the progress at the Strathbogie Rec Reserve. Okay, now on to page 92 and item 9.3.4, contracts and works awarded under delegation as approved in Council's 2020 to 2021 budget. Director Bray, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Binks. This is the report, the monthly report on the contracts that have been let under delegation from Council that have been budgeted for, that have gone through a competitive process in accordance with our procurement policy. We have 4 to report tonight. One that was approved by a director for the Friendlies Cricket Club accessible toilet, and I know that's been a long time coming too, and will be greatly appreciated by the community. We've also got updated a contract for the provision of mobile phones, and we've actually used a state government tender to get the best possible price to do that. And then there's 2 contracts in relation to auditing, various auditing, geotechnical, and also a construction auditor that's required under the terms and conditions of the EPA's approval for the Violet Town landfill rehabilitation. Councillors, there's a recommendation to note these contracts that have been awarded under delegation on page 92 for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bray. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer? No. Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hayes-Burke, was your hand up briefly then?
No, it wasn't, but I can move the motion.
Thanks. I thought I saw it go up and I missed it. If you will.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, can I please move the recommendation on 92?
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Is there a seconder to the recommendation? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Hayes-Burke, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just saying, yeah, thanks to Director Bray for the summary, and noting that this audit that happened at the Violet Town landfill site was actually what helped us decrease the massive costs in relation to the I guess the rating of that site. So that audit was well earned. The money was well worth it.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, I'd just like to echo Director Bray's comments really about the Friendlies accessible toilet particular item. The Friendlies precinct there has been without adequate female toilets for a long time, and the community there have been pushing for some safe access for women and girls who participate in a range of sports at that precinct, and it's really pleasing to see that we've been able to fund an accessible toilet that can be used by lots of those people there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Oh, okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to page 96, item 9.4.1, Circular Economy Funding Package, Letter of Support. Director Adamek, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. The Victorian Government has over the last 3 years progressed an ambitious and far-reaching reform agenda in relation to waste management and recycling in Victoria. The resourcing and financial impacts of Council of such substantial change agenda has been significant. The Municipal Association of Victoria, MAV, has recently written to the state government to ask more financial support for these changes for councils. This report will outline these impacts of councils and recommendations from MAB for additional support for council from the state government. There is a recommendation below that for your perusal on that page for your consideration.
Thank you. Director Adamek. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification to the officer regarding this matter? No. Okay. Councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hayes-Burke.
Can I please move the motion on page 96 of the agenda? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Hourigan. Thank you, Councillor Hourigan. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Hayes-Burke?
Yeah, I think it's great we're doing this because, and thanks to officers for taking the initiative. I mean, it's great that the Victorian government is transitioning to a circular economy, and I think the benefits will be great, and I think it's really important, but it is a huge burden on small regional councils like ours to pick up the costs because, yeah, ultimately they're going to fall with the ratepayer when we're just trying to do the right thing here. And yeah, I'm happy that we're joining this campaign. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Councillor Hourigan, would you like to speak to the item? Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak to the item? No. Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you. Councillors, now to page 101 of the agenda, 9.4.2, Instrument of Delegation, Waterway Manager. Director Tingay, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. The instrument of delegation from the Waterways Manager to members of council staff was prepared to assist council perform its duties and functions as a waterways manager over the Goulburn River and Ngambie Lakes waters. The reason for this report tonight is due to a recent organisational structure realignment. We need to update the relevant position titles contained within this instrument of delegation. There is a recommendation on commencing on page 101 of the agenda for council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification to the officer? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Dickinson.
I'd like to move the motion as stated on page 101.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Is there a seconder to the motion? I think you've frozen on me. Sorry, I didn't. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Dickinson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I see this as more a procedural operation, and because we have lost the previous person due to retirement, then it is an operational procedure that needs to be carried out. It's good that nobody has been named on it because I guess that means we can change the person from time to time if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Murray, did you wish to speak to the motion? No. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No. Councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 105 of the agenda, item 9.5.1, the monthly performance report. Director Bray, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Councillors, as usual, we have growth continuing across the entire Shire and all of the wards across the Shire. We also have continuing issues with a lot of potholes appearing due to the very wet conditions, and complaints about trees being down due to the high winds and the storm events that we've been having, particularly in the last week or so. But what I did want to draw your attention to is that the people in IT, customer service, and also our waste and environment sections have been working on getting the transfer stations or the resource recovery stations online. So a point of sale system has been put in where we can provide you the data now on page 117, which talks about the number of visitations to each of our 5 resource recovery centres, how many people are using their waste tokens that are on the rates notices. And it's just an interesting insight that we'll be able to provide you with each month now in terms of the usage and the volumes of waste across our transfer stations. That's probably the only thing I wanted to highlight this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bray. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification to the officer? Yes, Councillor Hayesburg.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to ask Director Bray why our curbside diversion rate seems to be not at the gold standard that it used to be.
I can certainly put some notes in the next one. I'm not the waste officer, but look, I think we do have seasonal changes, and I think we have peaks and troughs throughout the year, and particularly around holiday times. But look, it's really just a seasonal thing, and I think that's the only explanation that I can think of off the top of my head. But we can certainly put some more information if we see a different trend in there for next month. And take that on notice. But certainly the diversion rates are up compared to previous Julys. So, yeah, I think it's just a seasonal issue.
Thank you, Director Bray, for that clarification. Any further clarifications? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hayesburg.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to move that the monthly report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Hayesburg. And is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the report or the motion, Councillor Hayesburg?
Just say, yeah, thanks for the transfer station data. That's really cutting edge. It's great to have that in there, and I hope that is working successfully across the transfer stations. Also noting, the huge number of planning applications for Mount Wombat, which is predominantly rural, and I think that just speaks to the need for updating our rural land use strategy, which we will be doing in the near future as part of the planning scheme review. But other than that, thanks to officers and CEO for the continued hard work in responding to the many and various issues that we have across the Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Hayesburg. Councillor Rayburn, did you wish to speak to the item? No? Okay. Any other councillor wish to speak to the item? No? Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? Thank you. And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to page 125, 9.6.1, Draft Advocacy Strategy 2021 to 2025. Executive Manager Favaloro, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Hello, councillors. Action 1.1.4 of our council plan is to adopt and implement an advocacy strategy that outlines approach, principles and focus of our advocacy activities. Now, I'm sure this strategy and what's in this strategy doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. We released our advocacy ask many months ago, and in that there's lots of things that We have made a priority. So equitable digital and telecommunications infrastructure, reliable power supply infrastructure, a rowing bid for the Commonwealth Games, the Greening Euroa project, and of course a nature play space for Euroa. So to fulfil that council plan action, tonight we're presenting the draft advocacy strategy for 2021 to 2025. And as I said, it outlines all our principles, our levels of advocacy, our roles and responsibilities, and all those sorts of things. So councillors, you have a recommendation there on page 125 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Executive Manager Fapoloro. Councillors, are there any questions of the officer? Oh, okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Horrigan.
Thank you, Mayor Binks. So I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the draft advocacy strategy and the recommendation that's on page 125 of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horrigan. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Horrigan?
Thanks, Mayor Binks. Just to say thank you to the team for the advocacy document and to fellow councillors as well. This is a great document as a draft and really good timing for the election year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horrigan. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion? Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No. Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We are now up to page 133 of our agenda, item 9.6.2, 2022 Community Satisfaction Survey Results. CEO Solomon, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Each year, the Victorian Community Satisfaction Survey is conducted with 400 interviews occurring between February and March. This year, the survey has continued to provide positive responses for Strathbogie Shire Council. It highlights that we have consolidated the significant increase in overall performance we achieved in the previous 12 months, and whilst our overall performance is sitting at 56, which is down 1 index point from last year, we are closing the gap on our regional counterparts for small rural shires and also the statewide average. I'd like to highlight a couple of areas where we have really increased some strengthened areas and also some where we have actually dropped further. So one area I'd really like to highlight, and we know that we hear from our community all the time, is about our customer service. And this has increased by 4 points, which is a statistically significant increase to an index score now of 73. And this puts us higher than other small rural shires and also the statewide average. So that's a really great outcome for all the work that we have been focusing on improving and strengthening customer service. Our lobbying and advocacy, which is following on from the report previously, has increased by 3 points to 54 points and putting it on par with other small rural shires and higher than the statewide average. However, there has been some areas that have fallen, and these are local streets and footpaths, planning, building and permits, and sealed local roads. So whilst we're proud to have consolidated, we know that we need to make some improvements. We want to achieve great things with our community, and the community has told us that we need to broaden our focus. So we will continue to focus on what we call the 4 C's: communication, consultation and engagement, community-based decisions and customer service. But we'll also extend our focus to get tougher in the local laws department, do more when it comes to local streets and footpaths, and fix roads and focus on those maintenance areas. So in response to this, councillors, we have developed an action plan, and we have a recommendation on 134 of your agenda for your consideration tonight. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the CEO? No. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? I think you've frozen on me. Sorry, can I have... Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. You did freeze on me for a moment there.
Frozen again.
Councillor Dickinson, are you happy to move the motion?
Yes, sorry. I thought you'd frozen again. I would like to move the motion as recommended on page 134.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Dickinson?
Thank you. I actually think that the CEO has covered it pretty comprehensively. We do need to lift our game in a few areas, footpaths, sealed roads, but the recognition of the customer service always seems to rate really well, and I know that any time I have to phone through, I always get a very receptive attitude and very cooperative people and very helpful people. So well done to those people, and let's follow this plan that the CEO is putting forward and see if we can't improve in a few of those areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. The customer survey is something which we try and pride ourselves on as councillors throughout the state to ensure that we're trying to communicate with our community. We've noted on a couple of those occasions here we've gone very well, which is one is which Councillor Dixon just stated, it was our customer service, but also our public areas. Our gardens and parkland and all that is well looked after, and I congratulate the outdoor staff on that, because that is something, you know, in some areas it's magnificent. So I just congratulate the staff on that. But the old roads, they do kill us, especially when we've got around nearly 3,000 kilometres of roads, and we only got bitumen on about 780 kilometres of it. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but the Falmer Council changed their philosophy from zero roads to give more access to people on roads, and due to the climatic weather we're going through the last 2 or 3 years, the roads are being worn out and depleted. So it's a task we'll have to take it on board. And as I said before, when I was talking about the building in Euroa, it's something we will take on and not be scared of what's coming forward. So we will make those hard decisions and we'll go forward with that.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Haysberg.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to thank the CEO and the officers for taking such an active approach to this and really responding to the community feedback really directly with this action plan. We really want to be doing our best for the community, and we'll be continuing to do all these really positive things throughout the Shire, because we do bat well above our weight as a small regional shire. I think it's clear that we just need to shamelessly self-promote because we do have some great stories to share with the community that sometimes get a bit lost. But so we'll continue to do that. I'm going to try and share more council news myself and make sure I get out in the community as much as I possibly can. And yeah, we're doing tireless advocacy work, which I'm glad that was recognised by the community, and we continue to do that. And it's clear from conversations with the Mayor and CEO and others in Canberra that we do, we definitely, people in Canberra are definitely hearing us, and we're definitely punching well above our weight. So yeah, that's all I've got to add. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Haysberg. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Horrigan.
Thanks, Mayor Binks. Thank you to the council officers for all their hard work since November. Well, you know, since being elected, and then when this was this report was done. And I note that we only went down by 1 point, which is very, very good, especially in hard times during COVID. I think it's important. I want to let my community know that I hear you. I'm reading this report. I'm seeing that one of the big downturns was council direction. I think that was by a whopping 5 points. I'm hearing you about the roads. I'm hearing you about the footpaths. It's important for me, after reading this report, that we deliver on our basic core businesses. And that will be the front focus for me towards the rest of the term, and not to get, distracted by that. So I hear you, I'm listening, and please reach out, with any more concerns that you have in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Horrigan. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Okay, councillors, I shall put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all? Oh, sorry. Yes, councillor. I'll show of hands for all those in favour. Yes, sorry, Councillor Rayburn, you just beat me to finishing my words. And thank you. And against? Thank you. And I declare that carried. Sorry about that, Councillor Rayburn. You're ahead of me. I thought I missed. You wanted to speak again. All right, on to page 140 of the agenda, item 9.6.3, Municipal Association of Victoria Special State Council meeting, Friday the 16th of September 2022. CEO Solomon, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. This is really more a procedural motion. There is a MEV special council meeting to be held on the 16th of September. Both yourself as Mayor and the Deputy Mayor both are attending a Strathbogie Shire Council Audit and Risk Committee, and therefore are both unable to attend. This report and recommendation on page 140 is to seek endorsement for Councillor Chris Rayburn to attend this meeting on behalf of Council, and specifically to have vote on behalf of the Council at this State Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification of the CEO? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend that we adopt the recommendation on page 140 of endorsing Councillor Rayburn as our representative at the MAV Special Council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Is there a seconder to the motion? Thank you, Councillor Horrigan. Do you want to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Only to say that I think Councillor Rayburn as our ex-mayor, will be an ideal candidate for this to represent us at this the MAV meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Hourigan, would you like to speak to the motion? Any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No? Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? Thank you. And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to notice of motions. CEO Solomon, are there any notices of motion?
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, no, there are no notices of motion for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. CEO Solomon, are there any notices of rescission?
Again, through you, Mayor, no, there are no notices of rescission.
And finally, is there any urgent business to consider, CEO Solomon?
Thank you again. Through you, Mayor, no, there are no matters of urgent business.
That wasn't finally, I hadn't turned the page. Is there any confidential business to consider, CEO Solomon?
Now we'll say that on a final note, and through you, Mayor, no, there is no confidential business for discussion for tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. So, councillors, firstly, I just want to thank everyone for putting up with the poor technology. I acknowledge it's been a bit scratchy, a bit jumpy this evening. We do apologise for that, and we, we do the best we can with the technology we have, and we continue to advocate for better services. Our council meetings being a point in case. Councillors, the next meeting of council is an ordinary council meeting, and it's scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 20th September 2022, and to be held in person at the Aroa Community Conference Centre and streamed live through our website commencing at 6 p.m. So we will hopefully have less technical difficulties in September. There being no further business, I declare that the meeting is closed at 9:03 p.m. Thank you and good night.